Welcome back to the Real Talk Corner podcast, where we dive deep into personal journeys and topics that can inspire and transform us on a mind, body, soul, and spirit level. I'm your host, Ariana Gutierrez, and today we truly have a special guest, Daniel Jackson, who has an extraordinary ability to communicate with angelic spirits. Daniel is also the host of an enlightening podcast, Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. In this episode, we will dive deep into Daniel's unique gift, exploring how he connects with angelic spirits, the profound messages he receives, and the impact his abilities have on those he helps. Join us as we uncover the mysteries beyond the veil and gain insights into the spiritual realm with Daniel Jackson. You won't want to miss this fascinating and uplifting conversation. The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shield tied to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing, by the bricks I be laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vice are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real talk energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is so ready to throw a sun and masses awaken me. Listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free. All right, welcome to another episode of the Real Talk Corner. Today I'm here with my special guest, spirit medium Daniel, and I'm going to have him just tell you guys a little bit about himself before we get into our topic.
Well, my name is Daniel Jackson. I call myself Spirit Medium Daniel. I don't call myself psychic because when you use the word psychic, people walk up to you and say, "What am I thinking now?" And I say, "I don't know what you're thinking, but everyone else thinks you're a moron." So let it go. Yeah, see I see dead people, but I don't just see dead people. No one's really dead. They're just their energy continues on. But I don't just see people. I see people, dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings from other worlds. I see all kinds of things all day long. It never turns off. It never goes away. Yeah, you still have to live life here. That doesn't
Right.
mean you have to get rid of all your worldly possessions. You
Right.
just have to get rid of all the shit that doesn't mean anything. Because
Right.
the true value in this world is us. That
Mm.
motorcycle has no value in it unless I have it or I own it. Money. I mean, we base our whole value on paper and rocks, people. Paper and rocks, money, dollar bills and gold and silver and and diamonds, because they're also rocks. We be, but that stuff has no value, no worth until it's in your hands. It could
Mhm.
You could have rocks in your front yard, and you could have diamonds in your yard, and they're worth the same thing until we put a value on it. And why?
Right.
What's that mean? If we're putting the value on it, then where's the true value? It's us. We have
Yeah.
to get back to knowing we are the value in this world, not everything else.
Right. Right.
Once you
That's
do that, I mean, Jesus was here basically to teach us that we could all live as free men and women. We could share everything and take care of everybody in the world. We could share everything in the world. I could go out and get a Porsche, but you could go out and get a Porsche. But everybody could have a Porsche, if you could fit into it. I can't fit into it, but we could all have that Porsche. We could all put all the cool little doodads all over it, so everybody could have it. And then once we see everybody has the same exact thing, then you'll know at that point that you don't
mm,
have to prove anything to anyone else. We're
mm,
all the same. We're all equal. So once we learn that, what will we all know at that point?
yeah.
That that we're all equal. No one's better than anybody else. And then our wants and needs will change at that point. And all this is possible. I know it sounds like a big thing, but it's possible.
Mm,
But we have to do it. We have to
mm,
stop arguing about doing it and just do it. That's it.
definitely. Well, this is why, and I will definitely have the link for your podcast so they could go check you out. But this is why we have these conversations,
Right.
is to bring it to the table and talk about it because it is, if we could get past the bullshit of forever, we can get to the real stuff that we
Yeah,
should
let
be doing.
let's sit at that table together. Let's stop getting to the point where some people are sitting at the table while the rest of us are under it.
Right, right. I wanted to
Just
ask you
came up
real
with that.
quick, put it on a t-shirt. I wanted to ask you if you could think of what are some of your biggest challenges of being someone who communicates with spirits and angels, especially when it comes to like this. We talked some stories about the skeptics, like the lady who came in, but what are some of your biggest challenges that you face?
Um, Getting people to wake up. Getting getting people to wake up to their own drama, their own bullshit, instead of just, like here's a big so, another reading I did, a woman came up to me, her and her mom, and they sat down and their mom and I said, "I can only do one person at a time." She said, "I just wanna sit here and observe." She said, "We heard you on a podcast, and we wanted to come here because I brought my daughter here because my daughter needs to hear you." I
Mm,
said, "Oh, because you know I'm gonna tell your daughter the truth, don't you?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." And then her daughter sat in front of me. I said, "So what do you have for me?" Because I always explain to them, I always tell them my spiel at the beginning. I say, "I can only tell the truth one way. I can't tell it 50 ways until one way suits you." Meaning,
mm,
if you ask me a question, I get you the answer. That's the answer. If you don't like the answer, well, that's because you don't like the truth. That's your fucking problem, not mine. And I communicate with archangels, not men with wings and shields and swords, but they're here to help us. But you don't have angels walking around. She said, "That's what I want to know." I said, "What?" I said, "What do my angels have for me?" I said,
mm,
"Excuse me?" She said, "What do my angels have for me? I talk to archangels all day long, every day. I'm waiting for their answer." I said, "Well, you can talk to them all day long, but you're not gonna get an answer because" that's when I came up with the term.
mm,
You don't need an angel to go get a cup of fucking coffee. You don't need and I said, "But what you don't need an angel for is to go take 1,000 selfies and prove to everybody on Facebook that you're so wonderful." And her
mm,
mom burst out laughing. And I
mm, wow.
said, "'Cause that's what she's doing, right?" And she said, "Yes." And I looked at the girl, I said, "How do you think I would know that?" She said, "How?" I said, "'Cause 'Cause you're talking to the fucking medium. Why else do you think you're here?" I said, "You need to stop this shit. You don't have archangels following you around, posting thinking you're doing everything on Facebook and going out and telling the world how wonderful you are. They don't help with that. They
No.
want you to let go of that idea." I said, "But you don't have archangels doing that. You have spirit guides doing that, and you're not even listening to them. So why do you think you would have angels with you?"
Right. Right.
That's the hard part.
Right.
It's getting people to understand what is true and what is not true
Right.
because of all the things that we've been taught on TV and in movies about all this other bullshit. I mean, I used to watch the TV show Supernatural, but angels don't have wings. They don't need that. I mean, there may be some that have wings because they were once a bird or something like that. Because when I see archangels, I see 8-foot praying mantises standing around me because
Mm,
that's what they are. They're
mm,
not human. I see a couple of them that were human, but most of them are not human. They're just not. And they don't need wings to fly anywhere because when you're no space and time, no actual physical matter, where are you going? There's no wind to fly under or
right.
in. So they don't need wings. They will show you that, or Michael will show you
Mm,
purple so that you'll feel at ease. Do you know what Michael looks like? Michael looks like a combination of a moose and a horse, but he's got these wolf eyes. He's got this wide head with these wolf eyes in front of him. They're actually red and like a brownish red. And it says
mm,
he's got this long body. He's got these big floppy ears. He doesn't have any antlers, but he's got this long body with short hair like a horse. That's what he looks like.
mm.
And if people saw that,
Oh,
they
and
would be scared shitless.
he'd be like,
But
hell no.
right. But but because they are pure energy, they can project themselves in a certain way to bring a sense of calm, as well as negative energies.
Mm,
I saw a guy with a T-shirt said, "The devil is a liar." Well, negative energies are a liar as well. They will do things. They will manipulate themselves. They can look like a person, but then
Mhm.
they can manipulate themselves to look like a horrible monster face in order to scare you to produce fear.
Right.
And they might tell you, "Oh, I'm Satan," and then the next one might tell you, "Oh, I'm Satan," and the
Right.
next one's gonna tell you, "Oh, I'm Satan." They're all gonna tell you that as long as they can get you to believe it so you can be scared shitless so you can produce that so, yeah, no, but when by the time I finished, the she was like she was so disappointed. I said, but you don't have to be disappointed. You can learn to listen to and trust and follow through with what your
Right.
spirit guides are trying to tell you. And what they're
Mm.
trying to tell you is to stop taking all the selfies and go out and actually help other people. Not
Right.
just pretend or put on a facade that you're so wonderful, but actually go out and be wonderful without having to tell everybody how wonderful you are.
Right.
That's the trouble that I have. That is the struggle because everyone thinks that they have to prove to everybody else how wonderful you are. You are already wonderful.
Mhm.
You are wonderful because you are here. Because if you were not meant to be here, you wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I had to tell a lady the other day, I was doing readings last weekend. She said, "My husband and I are trying to have kids. We've been trying for years now, and it's not working. So what do I need to do?" I said, "There's nothing you can do." And she said, "Why?" I said, "'Cause you're not meant to have kids." I said, "They're not physically meant to come out of your body, and
Mm.
not because of the reason you think it is. You think it's a physical thing wrong with you.
Mhm.
What it is you're just not meant to have them because those souls are not meant to come in through you.
Mm.
You can still have children, you can adopt, or you can do a surrogate where you get the egg from someone else with the sperm from your husband,
Right.
but no matter who raises you, if someone if you have a stepdad and he raises you and your real dad didn't, he's not
Mm.
really your real dad. Your real dad is your stepdad because he's raising you. That's who your parent is. I said,
Right.
"So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to say this in a bad way, but I want you to go out and buy a bunch of kids." And she said, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" She said, "I've never just had wanted to have one. I've wanted to have a bunch." That's what I keep thinking in my mind. I wanna have a bunch. I said, "And how do you think I know that?" She said, "'Cause they're telling you that." I said, "Absolutely." That's
Yeah.
how you can still go out and be a parent.
Mhm.
And so she cried about not being able to have the children herself, but that doesn't mean she can't still have them.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the type of reading that I get for people all the time. I get this information and like, "Holy shit," you know? I mean, a lot of times I just hold their hand and I see first I start off with that and I hold her hand and I see spirit animals, and the spirit animal acts out for me what they're doing in their life. Like,
Mm.
she was I said, I said, "I see a horse standing in front of you, but he's standing, like, in front of you this way." I said, "He's walking up, and he starts to walk forward, and he looks to the left, and he looks to the right, and then he looks confused, and then he backs up, and then he goes the other way, and he looks
Mm.
to the left and looks to the right and backs up and comes back this way." And I said, "And then he's standing directly in front of you." And he said he moves back and forth and won't go anywhere else. I said, "What that tells me is you have a trust issue with people and you don't let anybody into your life." I said, "But the bigger problem is that horse is walking around looking left to right and doesn't know where to go." I said, "Because you're having a problem with direction in your life, but that problem is because you are talking yourself out of things. You make a decision, but you look, oh, maybe I'll go this way, and maybe I'll go that way. Oh, maybe I should go that way because I don't want to go this way." And every
Mm.
time you talk yourself out of something, you're not going on the correct path. And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "You know how you cure that?" She said, "How?" I said, "Knock it the fuck off.
Right.
Stop talking yourself out of shit. Stay on the correct path because now you're on the incorrect path."
Right.
"Oh," I said, "what's that gonna bring me?" I said, "Another trip back here. That's what it's gonna do." So,
Mm.
that's the type of things that I get for people, but
Right.
again, they get what they're supposed to have, and not this
Right.
grandiose story of fame and fortune or,
Right.
being connected to a king or a queen and stuff like that. Let that shit go. That stuff is not important. All those past lives were important when you were living them, but
Mhm.
they're not that important because you're here again, having to do it again. So if they were so important, you
Right.
would have got it done. You wouldn't be here now. What do you have in common with the other 7.5 billion people on the face of this earth? They all went to heaven. They all had to come back, just like you. So what does that make everyone?
Mm.
Equal. Get it done.
Yeah. True shit.
And it's hard. It's hard because again, we get taught all this other bullshit that, "Oh, everything's love and light and unicorns and rainbows and unicorn
No.
farts and all that stuff and angel dust and all that, and I got angels following me around guarding me from everything," and no, you don't. That's such fairy tale bullshit. Stop teaching get rid of the fucking Disney Channel, get rid of fucking fairy tales and all that bullshit, and start teaching them the true meaning of life and death, why you are here, why we are here. We're here to take care of each other. That's what we're here to do.
Mm.
People just don't get it. And that's the biggest I know it was a long story, but that's the biggest difficulty that I have. I have to reteach them. I have to
Right.
unlearn them.
Right.
That's the biggest part.
It is very hard for your ego
Correct.
to accept what it does not want to accept, right? To hear
Correct.
anything that it doesn't want to hear. It's like the ego automatically is starting to shut down. That's not real.
Right.
That's not true. That can't be it. And I've even experienced this myself, my own ego getting in the way of messages and just listening to spirit, listening. And then you come to that wall and you're like, why am I at this wall again? What happened? Well, the
I
ego got me here.
I do everything they tell me to do because again, I get touched on my face. This is yes, or
Mhm.
somewhere other place. That one's Jesus. Um, and this is no. It feels like a tear running down my face. So I wake up in the morning and I say to them because I'm diabetic, because that's just the body, that's not the soul. And but it's this whole learning about it, and I'm proactive and I take care of myself. So but I take care of myself now with everything they tell me to do. Because like I
Mm.
was explaining to somebody over the weekend, in order for me to be here to do these readings, I have to take care of myself health wise so that I'm able to get here. And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "When I wake up in the morning, I pick it like this is a pill bottle. I wake up and look at the pill bottle and I get touched. No. Oh, okay. I put it down. I pick up the next one. No. Oh, okay. I'll pick up the next one. Yes. Oh, okay. I pop it open. I take the pill. I follow everything they tell me to do. They
Mm.
told me 8 years ago, if I listen, trust, and follow through with what they tell me to do, I would never get into another car accident again. And I haven't. I haven't even had a close call. I
Mm.
listen and trust and follow through with everything. Once
Yeah.
once you learn to listen, and I
Mm.
tell people when you're about to make a big decision, put your hands on your stomach and ask yourself, is this the right thing to do? I mean, we get those feelings all the time where we say, I don't feel good about this. When you say
Right.
that, that's your soul guiding you to say, don't
Right.
do this. So ask yourself prior to doing anything, should I walk into this place? Especially for even for empaths who pick up on all that energy. I mean,
Mhm.
they walk up and go, I don't know. Yeah, it's because you're picking up on all that stuff.
Right.
And then they walk in and they come back out. It's like going into a excuse me, going into a smoky bar and you come out and you have that smoke all over you and you can't get rid of it because
Mhm.
they don't know how to protect themselves. But
Right.
if you could know not to walk in the first place, why not do that? So
Right.
ask yourself, is this a good thing for me? Because there's no right and wrong. There's no epic failures. There's no mistakes in this world. There's only what works for you and what
Mhm.
doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, quit fucking doing it. It's that simple. But not everybody can quit doing it because the ego comes in and says, I'll
Yeah.
just go in there right. It'll be fine. And they walk out. Oh, and at the end of the day, they're all drained and they're crying over some
Yep.
shit that they don't even know where the hell it came from. If
Right.
you can learn to protect yourself again isn't just putting some getting some cool tattoos and some crystals and some oils and all that shit.
Mm.
Protecting yourself is saying it's not a good idea for me to walk in there. So
Right.
don't go in there. Figure
Right.
out another way if you have to talk to somebody, text them and tell them to come out here and talk to you because I don't go into large crowds anymore unless I'm doing readings at this
Mm.
psychic arts healing fair in Tucson, psychic healing fair in Tucson. I go into that crowd, but other than that, I don't go in the crowds because I pick up on so much, I can't be around it, so I don't do it. It's
Right.
that simple. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't have tattoos. I don't do any of that stuff specifically because my archangels say, "Don't." Because
Right.
in order for me to get clear messages, I must be clear. But not just that, clear of the muck that we have going on inside of us all the time. People
Mm.
think they're swimming in mud all day long. When you can swim clearly through the beautiful, abyss of pure energy, then you will get so much more.
Mm.
It's not about just going to meditate and getting one answer. it's going to meditate or doing everything else to get all the answers. And I get all the answers, but I'm communicating with archangels. So when I tell people that, they say, "What does that mean?" I say, "People come to me because they want an answer from God." I get the answer because when I'm getting an answer from them, it's coming from God.
Hmm.
I said, "But they don't usually like the answer because people don't like the truth because it
Right.
doesn't fit into their lives." You better
Hmm.
learn to let it fit into your life because once you learn to let everything fit into your life that way, your life will change and it'll be a better life, more than you can ever know. But you got to do it.
Definitely. Definitely. I know that we got to wrap up. I did want to jump into your podcast a little bit, which is called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. And so, what inspired you to start the podcast? I know we kind of talked about it a little bit. What
uh,
inspired you to start the podcast?
Again, I listen, trust, and follow through with what Spirit tells me to do, and they
Hmm.
told me to do that. I had a guy contact me one time about doing a podcast, but he was a producer from a radio station, and he said we could do all this stuff. And at the end of the his spiel, it was going to cost me $13,000, and I said no. So, but I said I told my wife I'd still like to do this, but so, and then I had a friend contact me and she said, "Hey, Daniel, have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" And this was like a week later. I was like, "Yeah." She said, I said, but I told her the whole story. She said, "I have a guy who has a page that I'm working with on Facebook called Everything Podcasting. His name is Adam Homey. And I owe my podcasting career to Adam Homey because he explained everything that we could do.
Mm,
He explained how we could go out and get the equipment and explained everything, talking about it, how people could do it. And that's what I did. Now, he also does it for other people, but my wife and I figured it out for ourselves. And
mm,
I have a show because, in a sense, I want to bring the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because why? Because there are so many other shows out there, or even the TV shows, that aren't bringing you the entire truth because they're not allowed, because they are suppressed.
right.
They say, "At the end of the show, we're gonna bring you some new information," and then that new information is something they've already talked about from aliens or something like that from 1970, you know? They don't bring the truth.
Mm,
I bring the truth, and I talk about the truth. I bring the guests that I bring on my show, I don't even actually self-pick those guests.
mm,
I put an ad out there, someone responds to it, I look at their name, I get touched no, I don't have them on the show. I get touched yes, I have them on the show.
yeah.
It's that simple. They touch me no because they know that person has a belief or something or is going to say something that is not gonna be a good fit for my show, so I don't have them on.
Mm,
So that's what I do, and and it has worked very well for me. I have, like, 84 videos on YouTube, but I
mm,
don't have them. I'm no longer doing that. I'm not putting ones on YouTube now. I was on a podcast, called The Skeptic Metaphysician,
mm,
and I was on his show. I talked about some other things that I have going on with me because I know no other medium has it, and, because it's only meant for one. But, uh but I explained all that stuff, and then he, eventually I hadn't heard from him in, like, a couple of years. He put a little network together, uh, and then he got a brand new CEO to come in, and the CEO, is this guy owns a company called Worldwide Productions, okay? And he owns a company that if you've ever seen any, movie out there that has major branding in it, Coke, Pepsi, all that stuff,
mm,
this guy did it. So,
mm,
and they sought me out. He asked these people, "Hey, do you have anybody who's different?" And they said, "Yeah, we got a guy," because I was on a show, and they sought me out. And
yeah,
they were originally talking about just building a show around me, but I said, "But I have a show." And they said, "Well, if you want to bring that, you can do that." So, and so eventually, when that site goes live, I'm gonna be on TV. I'm gonna be on, Roku and Fire TV. Their network is called Ethereal TV. That's ETHEREAL TV dot net, and you can find them there. And it's not just me, it's a lot of other practitioners as well,
right.
trying to help as many people as you can, but it's gonna be a streaming network. It's a new to be seen. It's not out yet, but it'll be coming out, and, you'll be able to find it there. It's one of those just like any other one, you have to subscribe to it, and,
Right.
they can also subscribe to me as well on that through that channel as well, when it goes live, but, that's that's where all my new content is with them. I signed a contract with them. I can't talk about the contract, but I
Right.
signed a contract with them. Yeah, because but there's a lot. I do readings for people, and I talk about a lot of stuff,
Right.
but I have a lot of other stuff going on that I don't talk about with people. I
Mm,
just don't because they just don't need to know it. They're not meant to know it.
right.
Some of that stuff would be very unnerving to them. So
Def-
I don't bring that out to them. I bring out to them something that's going to teach them and give them some peace of mind and clarity, give them direction in their lives to do what they're meant to do here, and
mhm.
not to get this right so they can go home and stay home. That's what I bring them. But I also have to fight through all the other, rainbows and unicorn stuff to get to that. So I have to do videos, like I said, the unintuitive and my other video. What am I did it when I had those things come through me, I make a video of what do my angels have for me? Yeah, I did a video called that. So
Right.
I bring that to them, as much as I can because I want them to know that all this, they might be bringing you rainbows and unicorns, but they're not telling you the truth.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't go out there specifically and call specific names out because I don't have to. I
Right.
just have to get the whole idea. I
Right.
have to get everyone to drop that idea because it's just not the truth. And that's what I do.
Right. Well, I do commend you. Like I said, there's not a lot of people who will step out of the facade of what people make it and then actually speak the truth of what's going on.
Yeah,
And
those people who are telling lies don't like me. I don't
yeah,
care. I don't care.
I've done even ones like you where I've done the truth about tarot, and I tell people like because I've always been someone who's like, I don't want you to come back to me. I don't want
Right.
you to come back asking me the same shit over and over and over again. Like I
Right.
don't like that.
Right, that's what they do. They ask the same dumb questions over and over again. They didn't hear it the first time, apparently.
Right.
I love this. I saw a meme on Facebook one time of a tarot card reader and a woman standing next to her, and she deals out the cards, and the woman has a thing next to her that says, "Shuffle that shit again,"
Right.
because she didn't like it. Tough shit. That's the answer.
That is normally all the readings is like, so people know like me, you're not going to get what you want, you're going to get what you need. So
Right.
that's how I do mine also, but I backed away from it because I got tired of the what is my ex doing? Where's my love? Where
Right.
all of these questions, checking into people's stories that you have no business trying to look into. All of those things just
Oh,
morally
yeah. I
morally I
I
sat
get
back
those.
with that.
Yeah, I get those. I had a lady who said, "Well, is my husband cheating on me?" "Yes." "Well, how many?" "How many doesn't make a difference.
Does it
He's doing it, so
matter?
walk away." "Oh, but I need all the information." I said, "No, you don't. If what matters is he's not being faithful to you,
Right.
so go away and walk away." Yeah, they can't let it go. I had one oh, this was the one of the worst ones ever, and you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. You will, because this is what you get. So I had a lady come to me for a reading, and she said, so I want to start a business. I said, yeah, I know you do. And I said, but don't. She said, well, I didn't even get to it yet. I said, you don't have to. I'm telling you, don't start the business. And she said, well, I want to get into recording. I said, I'm telling you, don't start the business. It's not going to turn out the way you want it to.
Right.
And she said, why not? I said, because you're going to get a partner that you don't want. She said, I don't want a partner. I said, I know that, but you're going to get a partner because you can't afford this, because this is a big business. This is not
Mm,
buying $10,000 worth of equipment and think that's going to solve everything. I said, you don't know how to record. So you have to find a producer, you have to find an engineer, you have to find all that stuff. And you have to have money to do this. This is going to cost you $100,000 easy, and you don't have the money to do that. And she said, no, I don't have that kind of money. I said, right. So I'm telling you, don't do this. So at the end of the reading, she says, okay, have a great day, blah, blah, whatever. 2 years later, I'm doing readings. at another place. And I walk in, and there's all these people waiting for me at this restaurant. And she comes up, "Hey, Daniel." I said, "Hello." She said, "You remember me?" I said, "Not really, lady. I do a lot of readings for people."
Right.
I said, "But I'll get to you." And so she finally comes to me. I did 23 readings that night. I was tired. So she comes up and she says, "Do you remember me? You did a reading with me. I wanted to open a business." And I said, "Oh, back in Ocean City." She said, "Yeah." I said, "You didn't just want to open a business. You wanted to do it right across the street." She said, "Yeah." I said, "And I told you not to do it because of uh, it was going to go bad." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Because you were going to get a partner that you didn't want, right?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah." And I said, "And you didn't have enough money to do it." "Yeah, yeah." And I went through all that. And I said, "So how did everything turn out for you?" She goes, "Oh, I
Right.
did it." I said, "Oh." And I said, "And how did that go?" And she said, "I closed 6 months later." And she
Right.
said, "And I had that partner that you said didn't want to get, and I knew I didn't want to get." And I said, she said, "Now I owe him $10,000.
Right.
And I said, "Because you didn't listen." And
Right.
I said, "You know why you don't listen and why you didn't listen to me then?" She said, "Why?" And I said it like this, "Because you don't like the fucking truth. That's why." And she said, "Oh." And
Right.
I said, "But you're here now." I said, "Are you going to listen to me now?" She
Right.
said, "Well, I'm here now because I like you." I said, "If you liked me and I got you answers, why didn't you listen to me?"
Right.
And then she kind of blew it off. She said, "Well, look, I have a daughter who's about to have a child." I said, "Yeah, it's going to be a boy." And she said, "Yeah, I was just going to ask you that." And I said, "Yeah, it's going to be a boy." And she said, "Is there going to be any problems?" And I said, "Well, there is going to be some problems." I said, he's going to develop some really bad ear problems, some earaches, and he's going to have some problems breathing." So I said, "So don't go just to a regular doctor. I want you to go to a specialist." I said, "But he's going to grow out of it by the time he's 3 or 4. But this kid's going to go through hell in a handbasket, right?" I said, so make sure you get him the specialist." And here's what she said, and this is where you're going to connect with me. She said, "Yeah, that's what the other 3 mediums told me." And I just did what you did. I dropped my head. I just went, "Oh, Christ."
If I had a dollar
For every time.
for every time someone said that shit, I would be more than a millionaire right now, you guys. I
And
cannot even make this shit up.
I said to her, I said, "I understand it going to 1, but then you want some clarity on that, or you just want
Right.
some, I wanna know that this is what they're saying."
Right.
You went to a second one, but then you
Right.
went to a third one, and now
Right.
you're here with me, and then she says, "Well, yeah, because I like you." I said, "No." I said, You got the answer from 1, you got
Right.
the answer from 2, and now 3. Now me, you're getting the same answer from 4 people.
Right.
Again, you don't like the fucking truth. You want your own truth.
Right.
I said, "You're not gonna get your own truth. You've asked the same questions of 4 different people. When
Yeah.
are you going to listen?
Right.
When are you going to follow through with what is being told you and get your ego out of the way because you want your own thing?" I said,
Right.
"It's not going to be fucking, as I do archangels, they are not magical beings that are come down and going to fix your life. If you fucked up your life, it's up to you to fix it, but they're going to give you answers. Spirit guides are going to give you answers to figure that out, but you're not listening." I
Right.
said, so by the end, I said, "So are you going to listen to me now?" And
Right.
she said, "Yes." And she got up and walked away. Immediately, as I said, "Are you going to listen to me now?" I got touched. No. And I turned around to my wife and I said, "No, she's not." Because they don't listen.
Real shit.
Stop going to every single one thinking they're your fucking fortune teller. They're going to
Right.
hold your hand and tell you what you want to hear. They're
Right.
not going to. And if they're the ones who are telling you all the time that you want to hear, you better wake up. You better take your money back and you better walk away because they're not real. They're
Right.
lying to you.
The sad part is I had several people who would come to me after getting a reading by someone else, and my reading would be different and not what they want to hear, but the other person
Correct.
was exactly what they wanted to hear. And they would say, "But
Correct.
so and so told me this." And I'd be like, "Well, why are you asking me?
Right. Don't you believe them? I
If
mean,
they told
that's
you
why
that, go with that story."
yeah, that's why
But
you
that's
just
not what
paid
I
them.
see. I can't create what you want me to
Right.
tell you, you know? It's
Yeah,
like,
I had a lady who again, at one of these festivals, and she was like, she said, "I wanna go on vacation, and I wanna go on cruises and all." I said, "Well, you're not doing any of that." And this was January,
Right.
um oh, no, this was February 1st of 2020.
Mhm.
Okay, right before COVID. Now, I got a message about COVID coming 2.5 years prior to COVID coming, and I
Mhm.
told a bunch of people, and they all were like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad I listened to you." But some of them were like, "I thought you were crazy." I said, "Yeah, I'm not crazy. You got to listen to me now." So this
Right.
lady says, she says, "I want to go on cruises and all this." I said, "Yeah, you're not going." She said, "Why am I not going?" I said, "Because you don't have the money to do it." I said, "You're broke. You're not going on cruises." I said, "You're living day to day." I said,
Right.
"And you're having a hard time with that." I said, "I know your credit cards are all maxed out. So how do you think you're going on cruises?" I said, "Besides that, pretty soon, no one's going to be going on cruises." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, because just some other stuff's going to go on." Now, I didn't tell her about the COVID stuff because I don't tell everybody because I only told people who could handle it.
Right. Right.
But I told her, I said, "You're not going on any cruises." And she was like, "Oh," I said, "But for the next 2 years, if you get your act together and get your life together and get your credit card straightened out. Maybe in
Mm.
about 3, 4 years, you can go out and do that." I said, "But you're not gonna go on them anytime soon, because again, no one's going on cruises anytime soon." And she
Right.
didn't get the so she calls me up later because I gave her my card, and she
Mhm.
said, "I want a refund." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "'Cause you didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. I wanna go." I said, "That's right. I didn't tell you what you wanted to hear because you wanted to hear it, but that's not what's going to happen." She said, "Well, all these people, I see these people giving you all these good reviews and stuff on Facebook and everything. I'm not going to give you a good review." I said, "You're not giving me a good review because you didn't get what you wanted to hear. I gave you the truth.
Right.
I gave you what you needed to hear." And then that's when she revealed to me, she said, "You're right." She said, "I don't have the money." She said, "I'm actually living off my credit cards. I get a settlement and I get one payment a month, but that's it. But
Right.
I don't have the money." I said, and by the end of it, she's like, "All right, I'm sorry." I said, "You need to be sorry because this is you and your ego."
Mhm.
Because she said, "Well, I went to 3 other mediums that day." I said, "Why would you come to me? If they" She said, "Well, they all told me I was going." I said, "Then why come to me?" She
Of
said,
course.
"I don't know." I said, "You know why you came to me?" She said, "Why?" I said, "Because your soul guided me to come to me because
Mm.
your soul knew you needed to hear the truth
Right.
and not what those other bullshit people told you."
Right.
And she
Right.
said, that's when she went, "Oh." I said, "You don't understand big picture, lady, and that's big picture stuff."
Right. Right.
So, yeah. No, I got a good rating from her on Facebook, but, that's what people do.
Yeah.
You wanna
Definite.
stop you wanna change that? Here you go, ready? Big advice for everybody. Stop doing that.
Yeah. It
But
it it
go with
doesn't help.
someone. Right. But sometimes they do have to go again, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Sometimes you have to go through some bad things to find out what doesn't work for you in order to find out what does work for you. She had to go
Oh,
through those other 3 in order to find out someone who was actually going to tell her the truth.
definitely. And it's just one of those things. And that's the prime example of your ego wanting to hear what you want to hear. And our paths are so different. So, what my ego thinks my life is supposed to be doesn't necessarily mean that my higher self is like, yeah, that's for you. Because
Because
your
it
soul
was
is
because it
like,
was dictated to you, that's why. Everyone else wants to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it.
right,
No, you have to figure it out for yourself. You can get advice from other people, but it's just
right,
advice. I can give answers to people all the time,
hmm,
but if they choose not to do anything with the information, then
right,
why come to me in the first place? They're
right,
coming to me because, again, I have all these stories. A lady who came to me and she said, I want to buy a brand new car, Daniel, and all this. I said, so let me find out. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Go buy the car. Because I said, you want to buy this red car? She said, yeah. How would you know that? I said, again, because you're talking to the fucking medium. I said, so go buy the car and everything's gonna be worked out. Just get the car, blah, blah. So she comes back like a year later, and I
hmm,
still know this woman, and she said, "It didn't work out the way you told me. You're wrong. You're wrong." And I said, "No, I'm not wrong." I said, "Let me find out what happened." She said, "Well, let me tell you." I said, "No, I don't want you to tell me." And she said, "Why not?" I said, because you're an egotistical piece of shit that only thinks about yourself and you're a liar. So let me ask spirit. And I said, oh, I said, you didn't do what I told you to do. I told you to just go buy the car. I said, you actually took the money you got for the out to buy the car and you didn't put it all down, the down payment on the car. You took some of it and went out bought a bunch of jewelry. I said, as a matter of fact, you bought that necklace and those 2 gold rings you have on your, I said, so you didn't do what spirit guided you to do. I
Right.
said, you used your ego to do something else. I said,
Mm,
if you'd have just bought the car, your car wouldn't have gone into a repo. She said, I said, "Yeah, I know your car went to repo." I said,
mm,
"Because you didn't follow what I told you to do. You used your ego."
right.
And she said, "You're right." I said, "Right." I said, "But that's not the story you were gonna tell me." She
Right.
said, "You're right again." I said, "Right." And she said, "Well, I have another question for you." And you know what my answer was? "No." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm not gonna get you another answer."
Hmm.
"Well, why not?" I said, "Because you didn't listen the first time. When you get your life together, when you get your act together, you start listening, trusting, and following through what your intuition is telling you to do. When you start doing that, when you're correct, then you
Hmm.
come to me, and then I will help you get some more answers. But until then, don't even bother me." I said, "And I will know if you're correct or not because I am who I am. So
Right.
don't try to play me."
Right.
They try to play me sometimes. I did a live show. I know you've had this before. I did a live show, and I let people come in and ask questions, and this one lady come in, she said, "I wanna talk to my brother who passed away and all that stuff." So, the first question I ask anything is I always ask my guides, "Is this person telling me the truth?" And I got touched. "No." I said, "So her brother's not dead?" "No." I said, "So she's asking a manipulated question so she can try to get something out of me so she can prove to everybody else I'm not who I am?" "Yes." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, hold on, stop." She said, "What?" I said, "I can't answer that question for her." She said, "I knew it. I knew it. You're not real. You're not who you say you are." I said, "No, I'm who I say I am." I said, "The problem is you're asking me a manipulated question." I said, "Because your brother's not dead.
Mm.
Because he's not dead, I can't get questions for you from beyond the grave because he hasn't gone to the grave yet. He's still alive." And she said, "How'd you know that?" And I said, "'Cause I'm the
Right.
fucking medium, that's how." I said, "So here's what I want you to do." She said, What do you want me to do?" I said, "I want you to get off my show and go away because 'cause you're a piece of shit, and you
Mm.
wanna convince everybody else that I'm not real because you don't feel that I am, and you think everybody else should feel the same way." I said, "So go away." And then everybody else in the room was like, "Get out of here, we don't want you here, he's trying to
Mm.
help everybody and blah, 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 blah." And yeah, they try to trick me all the time. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. It never works. So if you're going to come to me and get a reading, if you're not telling me the truth, I'll know it. And then I'll stop that reading and I'll tell you, you better start telling me the truth because if you don't, this will
I
come to an
definitely
end.
feel that is the difference when you step into truly tapping in
Correct.
versus the fake shit. Because that thing of I'll know, I'm like, you can't pull one over on me.
Right.
You can lie and say all that you want, but I'm gonna see it, I'm gonna hear it, I'm gonna feel it. And that's one of the things that always helped me during where it would be like someone would come in with their bullshit story and then I'd be like, well, what about this? And then it's like the truth comes out because you can't lie. If you're
Yes.
truly working with the higher realm energy or your spirit guides or your higher self, whoever's tapped in, they're gonna
Yes.
they're gonna expose the
They're going to
person.
tell it to you. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah,
why you have this ability so that you can help people, but also you
right,
have this ability so you can pick up on all the bullshit as well because they know people
right.
are bullshit.
Right. And then the same token goes to you can tell when someone's working with negative energy because they're
Right.
going to tell you everything you want to hear to bring you
Right.
back. And then
Right.
you got to
Yeah.
come back. I'll give you another reading. We'll check on this, later and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, my whole thing is I'm going to, and I do these little tricks to tell people, even just a simple close your eyes, take a deep breath, ask your higher self that question. What's the first thing you hear?
Right.
And it amazes them what they hear. It's like, see how
Right.
easy that was for you just to fucking ask yourself.
Right, because their lives were so running a million miles an hour, you got them to
Right,
slow down for that one moment, and
right.
that's when they got it. And then you tell them, "You got it that time. If you would slow down all the time, you'd get it all the time."
That simple.
That's
Boom.
simple. It's
And
that
it's like,
simple.
no, you'd rather come, spend money with me and have me read this shit. And I'm going to tell you exactly
But
what you already know.
But sometimes they turn around and go, "Was that an angel just talked to me?" No,
Yeah.
that was your soul telling you what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never, not that I haven't felt angels. I've had a few moments of just true connection of a few, but I've never been that person when people are all the angels and stuff. And I always look like, I'm always one of those like, okay, okay, like, okay. And
I
not that I
had,
don't believe in it. I don't feel that
yeah,
everyone just has a bunch of angels running around. I
right.
don't believe that, never have, you
I
know?
have them with me because they have me cross spirit over, and I don't just cross one at a time.
Right,
I cross thousands at a
right.
time. When I see them that way, it's as though I'm like sitting on a balcony and because in this
Mm,
dark room, and I see a parade, a literally parade of people coming in front of me, and then I'll look over here because within the third eye, people don't realize everything that's in front of you is behind you. So you're not really looking. You see everything. So, but I see this parade going on for miles coming towards me, and it's all coming. And then it's when I see them, I go, "Does anybody want to cross over?" And and it's weird to watch like 100,000 people do this. And I go, "Hello, my name's Daniel." I said, "I'm here to cross you over. Does anybody want to cross over? I can tell you how to do it." And they just line up. And now with me, it's a physical thing because people witness it. I was with my sister one time talking in a low lit room, and a big flash of light went off around me. She said, "What the hell?" Because she knew what I was like. She's like,
right,
"What the hell was that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's just somebody jumping in." She said, "Jumping in?" I said, "Yeah, jumping in." She goes,
right,
"Oh, you mean crossing over?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "How often does that happen?" I said, "There's more oftentimes that it doesn't happen." She
right,
said, "What do people do when they see that?" I said, "Oh, I don't give a shit what people do when they see it. They see it, but I don't care. It's when they come up to me and I tell them, 'Oh, man, maybe it was some electricity.'" I I try to I can't explain everything to everybody because it would take an hour. So,
right,
but it happens all the time, but I have them around me to protect me from the negative ones that are there.
right,
So
right,
I can cross everybody and everything over because I don't just cross over people. I cross over dogs,
right,
cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings because I see some other
right.
beings. Well, they're not human, and and that's what I do. So, but I have them with me in order to do that. But what I also spirit sometimes asks me questions.
Mm,
But I get everything in as English. If a dog talks to me, I hear it as English because it's a universal thing. It's what we would
right,
call telepathy because they don't talk like we do because they don't we don't
right,
have a voice. That's why you don't know your real true soul name because you can't pronounce it because you have a voice box. You can't
mm,
pronounce it's more like a sound vibrational like thing. Someone's
right,
going to call you that in heaven. You're going to turn around and go, "Oh, that's me." But or they're gonna call you all your other names of all your other lifetimes because everybody knows about it, everybody. But they are there with me to protect me from everything else so that
mm,
I can get these things. But because these spirit are talking to me and getting me questions, asking questions, I asked the archangel, what do I need to know for this? And then they tell me to, and then I tell the spirit because they do that for me, getting
mhm,
me answers for spirit, I can get answers for anybody.
right,
And I didn't know that at the beginning either, so but I found out I said, "Well, if I'm getting spirit questions answered, can I get answers for other people?" And then, boom, I just started getting touched all over my face, and I was like,
mm,
"Oh, so that's what I'm supposed to be doing." Yes, and then I hear the thought come into my mind. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, like I said, it was just 2 touches here, now it's 67. I know every single name of every one of them. I have it written down on a list, but, Helen, Raphael, Uriel, Emmanuel, uh, Jace, it's so freaking long, it's 67 names, and,
yeah,
um, but it happens. I mean, it happens, and, I mean, I could prove it however, I prove it by I'm not trying to prove it, but every time I go to this, psychic healing fair, I'm the busiest table
yeah,
because
yeah,
they walk in and they always walk up to my wife and say, "I heard him on a podcast, right? I just feel drawn to come to him," and yeah, I
right.
mean, they come to me because 'cause I'm the fucking shizzle dizzle, that's why. I just am, you know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
like with anything in your life, you just learn to accept your life or you
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
But I'm not charging them $1,000,000. I'm just trying to help as many people as I can.
Right, right,
Like,
right. That's the whole other thing. You're not trying to get
yeah,
rich off of this.
yeah, I don't need 6 cars. No one needs 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. We just don't. I mean,
No,
it's okay to enjoy your life, but
right,
we're here to help each other, and that's what I'm doing. I'm helping as many as I can, one at a time, or thousands at a time when I cross them over, or
right,
putting this message out there to help people to understand what is real and what's not real and how they can move on with their lives.
right.
That's what
There's
I do.
definitely that what I call back end purpose for us here.
Yeah,
And a lot of people don't know that about themselves.
right.
They're very clueless to that part of them. So I find that very interesting that you're one of the few that I've ever met that actually understand that back end point of what you're doing, as well as in the human form of here in this realm of what you're doing.
Yeah,
And not
you're
a lot of
"Oh,
people
I'm
get
gonna
out of
be a
their own way to understand, right?
I'm gonna be a famous football player or a basketball player, and I'm gonna stand on stages and be a movie and that's all misdirection. That's misdirection keeping us from what the true meaning of us being here.
Right.
But the
Um,
world wants you to believe in that too. Don't
I will
believe in it.
say again, it goes to our ego. There was a
Yes,
part where my ego, I was so disappointed in, and this was my ego,
sure.
where it was just like that. I'm a like a lighthouse, basically. I'm that light in the dark, right?
Correct.
Um, and it was like, that's it. That's all I do. I just, and it was my ego. Like, there's
Nope.
nothing else to this. And it took me to really process what I'm doing and
Right.
understand how special it is that
Right.
what I'm doing, right? And
Right.
it took me again that big ego switch to leave that behind, to really come into and appreciate and understand what that
Right.
is. And it's not something
Right.
I talk about with everybody. It's not something I go around and say, but a couple conversations that'll come out and I'll talk about it, because it's that other part of me that's going regardless to what I'm doing, you know. And yeah, I have stuff to do here as a human as well, but there's
Right.
the back end of it, of what you're intended for, what you're helping with,
Correct.
your energy is
Correct.
contributing to, right, on the back end. And a
Right.
lot of people want these, like you say, that grandiose type shit. And even though it is, in a sense, it is big,
Just differently.
just differently. And if we can just step into that, accept that, and appreciate that we're able to do it, right? Shit changes. And that's the crazy
Yes.
part, is life really does change when you accept some truths that your ego doesn't want. I say
Right.
harsh truths, but that's because the ego doesn't want to hear it. You
I
know?
have a wonderful wife who helps take care of me. We do this podcast together. She does all the technical stuff. She set it up for me this morning, and we had to mess with passwords and all this crap. She does all that stuff. When I go do readings, I sit in a chair. She takes care of her. She sets everything up. I sit in a chair, and she brings everything to me, and she helps me do all. She does all that so I can just do this. And
Right,
if that's not winning the lottery, I don't know what is.
right. And
She
there
helps
are
me with everything.
there are people, and I was talking to another lady who's a channeler, and she was saying this too, like there are people that are meant to come in our lives and take care of us in a way where
Right.
we can excel at the very things we're supposed to be doing, if you
Correct.
allow these people in. But a lot of times the ego is not letting the right people
Correct. Yeah.
in to support us in the way that we need to be
Right.
supported, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when I see the spirit animals, and sometimes I'll see like a somebody with a wolf or a horse that's standing directly in front of them, pointing out this way, and they're all postured up and everything. And I said, "Oh, you don't trust people. You don't let anybody into your life." No, I don't. I said, "Well, if you don't, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get old because I'm getting old, and then you're going to need to go to a doctor's appointment, and you can't go because you didn't let anybody into your life to trust them enough to take you. And then
right,
you're going to be one of those people who's fallen down and can't get up. That's
right,
what you're going to be." So wake the hell up and start letting people into your life.
right,
Oh, okay. Is that what it all means? Yes, that's what it means. People helping people. That's what it means. You
yeah,
helping yourself to allowing this to come in and learning to trust people. Not everybody, but learn to trust people and let them show them how they can be trusted. And then you'll be okay throughout the rest of your life. But if you don't do that, uh, have a great life and enjoy falling down and not getting up because no one's there to help you or save you. and you didn't learn from it because you did it your entire lives.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. I know I do. We could go on and on. I love go on and on about all of this stuff, you guys. I'm sure we got a million stories we can go in and
Is
through.
this going to be is this going to be one episode? You're going to break this up into a couple.
Yeah, I'll have to break this up at least in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So we might have to get you back on, and we can go into some more stuff, you
Oh
guys.
yeah. Anytime you want to.
There's so much to unpack in the realms of spirituality. Definitely, a lot of truths that people need
When
to
I
should
when
hear.
I when I saw your ad
Hmm.
when you were looking for people,
Yeah,
again, I did the same thing. I looked at your ad and I got touched yes, and that's why I
yeah,
contacted you.
yeah,
I look for ads all the time because even though I have my own podcast, I still want to go out there and spread the word. I don't care
right,
if you got 10 listeners or 1,000 listeners. Every one that I get is something that I could possibly help
right.
and help them move along. So, but I look at a bunch of them all the time, and even though it might say something spiritual, I look at it and they go, "No." I go, "Oh, okay." I just go on to the next one. When you can learn to let things go in that way, knowing that it's not meant for you,
Yep.
it makes life so much easier. You don't
Yep.
have to take everything, "Oh, I wanna go out with this guy, but he
Mm.
keeps telling me no." Well, then go find someone else.
Let
That
it go.
person's not meant to be with you, just let it go. "But I
Yeah.
like them so much." Well, if they don't like you, it's not gonna work, so how do you think it's gonna work if they don't like you when you're dating them? They're gonna
Right.
treat you like shit, so let it go, walk on. Yeah,
That's
people
for
don't
you.
get that.
Real quickly, I absolutely go by, I believe in divine timing, and I believe in the fact of, if it's meant for me to experience it, it will happen. It'll fall through. We'll get here.
Yes.
I
Yes,
have
yes,
seen
yes.
people who contact me to get on here, who schedule, and it never happens. And it's because I'm like, hey, I don't get mad. I don't get mad. I'm not
Right.
just like, hey, it didn't happen because it's not meant to.
Correct.
And that's how I kind of have gotten into my life, to really trust that I'm being guided to where I need to be, and the conversations that come are what we need to have. So when you get to that
Correct.
point where you're really truly trusting and allowing, they're just magical. The information's there. We get
Yes.
what we want. And I'm like you. I don't look at numbers, far as,
Me
because
either.
I don't care about getting paid off of none of this that I do. I do it because I love it. So I don't
Right.
care about numbers. I'm like, if one person watched it or one person listened, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's it's worth my time to do that.
Right.
It's worth
Right.
my time to put it out there. As
Right.
long as I'm getting it out there, that's what's important. But
Right.
also learn your lessons along the way. I had a guy I was supposed to be on his show, and then so I go in because he sent me the link, and nothing for an hour. So I go back again and check it, nothing. So I contact him, and he said, "Oh, I forgot all about it, man. Can you reschedule?" I said, "Sure." Same thing happens. And then I get a hold of him and go, "Oh, I forgot about it again." I said, "Okay." He said, "Can you reschedule?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" I said, It wasn't that important to you. If it was important to you, you would have shown up the first time saying you forgot about it." I said, "I'm using your calendar system that goes directly to you. You
Right.
should know that someone's going to be on your show. So, but if it's not that important to you," he said, "Well, but it is important." I said, "Well, it ain't that important because you didn't show up twice." For me, I'm a two strikes person.
Yeah.
If you do it to me once, but unless there's a specific reason. But again,
Right.
here comes there's fake mediums out there because I was supposed to be on some girl's show, and right at the very last minute, she said, "I got to cancel. My kid's sick," and I typed back. I said, "Your kid's not sick." I said, "I know you're actually telling me a lie because that's I know I'm being told you're telling me a lie because one of your friends offered to you to go out and do some cool stuff today, and you decided to do that instead of having me on today." I said, "But that's okay. It's not a problem. I'm not angry over it. I just know I'm not going to be on your show." And she said, "Oh, well, I guess we're not a good fit." I said, "No, we're not a good fit because you don't take this seriously." And I said, "So I don't need to." So what did she do? It was maybe like 2 months later when I started getting people on my show, to have her and she actually tried to book herself to come on the show. I said, "Don't you remember me?" I said, "I'm the guy who told you that you were lying and all that bullshit." I said, "So why would I have you on my show?" Oh, and she swore, "Oh, I love your show. I love the way you do your show. Everything's so wonderful. So you're awesome." I said, and then when I said, she goes, "Oh," I said, "You know what that shows me?" She as well. I said, "Not only
Right.
are you a horrible medium, but you're absolutely fake." I said, "You know what you just do? Stop doing it because you're just lying to people." She's like, "Whatever." I said, "Yeah, whatever. Have a great
Right.
day." Yeah,
And there's tons of them in this
tons of
world.
them.
So many that it's crazy. All right. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Daniel, and just having this conversation. I think again, I think we've touched a lot of things today that you guys had to have taken something away from today. But I
Oh,
do
yes.
appreciate you coming on and having this conversation. So, any last things you want to tell our viewers and listeners before we wrap this up?
Well, if they would like to read my book, I have a book out called Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. They can find that on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and punch in the search bar Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. You'll see a picture come up of a man in a bright white light walking into the light. That's it right there. And it's basically it just tells about my whole entire story about how everything happened to me and for me. But there's also 25 messages that are archangels brought to me to bring to people. Essentially, this is coming from God, how God wants us to be, to help, to learn to help ourselves to be better people and to help other people become better people. When we do that, in turn, that's helping us. I mean, when I sent that book in to the editor, she sent everything it needed to be edited because my grammar sucks. I mean, my I said it to my wife, "Here, I wrote everything we want to read." She was like, "Oh my," she reads books. I was like, she's like, "No, I don't want to read that. It'll give me a headache." When I sent it into the editor, she sent the 25 messages back. She said, "They don't need to be edited." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Why not?" I said, "Because it didn't come from me.
Right.
It came from a perfect place. That's why." But, yeah, they can find that on Amazon. If they wanna book a reading with me, they can find me at spiritmediumdaniel.com. It's one long word, spiritmediumdaniel.com.
Right.
And I do 2 different types of readings. One's just a regular reading for people who need some information or they just wanna talk about spiritual stuff. I don't have a problem teaching them anything. Or if it's another medium who has a similar ability of mine that's meant to work with archangels, and I will help them to move forward with that. But I have done that for 24 people already, and only one of them moved forward because once they find out what the commitment is beyond just being a regular medium, they don't want to do it. They don't want to have the, you know, throwing up and shitting themselves for years, on end. So, and all the other stuff that goes with it. But I can help them to find
Right.
out if they need to make that choice for themselves. So,
Right.
yeah, and then the show again, it'll be new coming out on Ethereal TV. That's ETHEREAL TV.net,
Okay.
and that'll be on Roku and Fire TV. But when it goes live, that's when it'll go live, and that'll have a show out that's coming out every week at that point. Because right now, before I was just doing one every 2 weeks, but now it'll be once a week. Um, Facebook, I have a Facebook group called the Spirit Medium Daniel Facebook group, Spirit Medium Daniel group, and they can join that if they want to. I'm very active on it, so if that people want to come in and ask questions. But
Mm,
again, I had somebody come in the other day and said, "Who's the next president going to be?" I said, that stuff doesn't matter, man. Let that shit go. But they can come in and ask questions, anything they want to ask, and
right.
the people in there interact with each other as well as if they have a big question that
Right.
I will answer it for them, and then I let people get into discussions about that because we need to talk to each other. So, yeah, they can
Right.
find me on Facebook there. But other than that, if you want to find any other interviews I'm doing, just go on YouTube. And you can find my old videos at Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson on YouTube. Just look that up, or just put in the word Spirit Medium Daniel, and then put my last name Jackson as well, and you'll see the other. I've been on over 200 podcasts in the past couple of years. So,
Yeah.
and sometimes amazing things happen on those podcasts.
Yeah.
I want them to to know that podcasting does work. It does help get the message out. But find one that resonates with you, and then
Mhm.
stick with it because when you know it feels good to you, then you know you're getting good information, and that's your soul telling you this is the right place to be. As right now, the way that you and I were, even though you were asking me questions and I was telling you all this stuff, but you
Mm.
have the same similar stuff that goes on with me, that goes on with you.
Right.
So everybody who's out there listening, this is the right place to be.
Hmm.
Continue listening here because you're going to get truthful information, and
Mm.
that's what you need. Make sure you pay attention to all the other people who are just telling you rainbows and unicorns because that's all they're giving you. Uh, you want truthful information, you go to the real places that you need to be. You go to the Real Talk Corner. That's where you need to be.
Oh, thank you so much. That's one of my slogans. I had one of my people who watch me, they've been watching me for years, and that's one, they made me a shirt that said, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. That's my, one of my things that I
Yeah. I have
all.
a I have a slogan that I use at the end of my show, and I say, "Be good and don't do any stupid shit. But if you do, don't get caught." Yeah, so
Right. So, yeah, I will actually have, if you are listening over on Spotify, Apple, or iHeart, the links will be in the description. YouTube, if you're over there watching on YouTube, links will be in the description to go check Daniel out. I try to make it a little bit easy for you guys to find him. So I'll have as many links as I can in the description for you guys to go check him out, go support his pages, go join his group and all of that stuff. And I myself also am going to get your book. I've been all over the place this past month, and time is
I have
flown
I
by.
have a I have a PDF of it. I can send it to you if you want it.
Oh,
I mean, if you want a
awesome.
hard copy, I mean, that's up to you. It's
Yeah.
I only sell my book for $8 and the ebook's like $6.49 and we're gonna do an audiobook eventually, but I only
Okay.
sell it for $8 because I'm not I don't make that much money off that. When you do it through Amazon, I make $2.49 off of that $8 book. I'm not trying to make $1,000,000. I'm just trying to help as many people as I can. That's why I only sell it for $8. But if you just want a PDF copy of it, I can send it to you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, definitely. So I can check it
Well,
out.
I'll have my wife send it to you because I can't do that shit. 'Cause yeah.
All right, you guys. That is it. And until next time, you guys. Bye.
Bye.